Hey guys, I'm Shobhi Solutions, Shabazz Khan, and I have a lovely guest with me today, Fiza Fancy. She's from Australia. She just graduated and she has some really good expertise to share out with you guys. She has, a real hustler and a true potential lad who knows her ins and outs through any of the areas you just let her in. Okay, so let's just go up through a little background for Fiza, what she is. Well, she's a fresh marketer with 3 years of marketing experience in the hospitality industry. She is a graduate from Deakin University, Australia. She is currently residing in Australia as well. She is working in a marketing agency, which is so-called as the Sparky Foundation in Australia, which is also a renowned brand throughout the world. And let's hear it from Fiza that how she has, managed to live across diverse background, all alone, all by herself, and what were the necessities that she used to carry out her life with. So this is gonna be one of awesome sessions with Fiza, and we're gonna know about ins and out how she managed to sustain a well-capable life in Australia, knowing the fact that you don't have no finances, you're low on your finances, and how you're gonna make them well. So let's just hear it from Fiza and see what you shared with us. Over to you, Fiza.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, first of all. And yes, I am from Karachi. I've spent 18, 19 years of my life in Karachi. And I moved here in 2018 to pursue my bachelor's. Uh, it was a very sudden decision. So I wasn't basically one of those who had been planning to move abroad for university forever. I already enrolled in a university in Karachi, and that was actually the sorted plan for me. I was like, okay, this is gonna be it, and I'm gonna do my bachelor's from here, and then maybe we'll see for masters. So moving to Australia was like a very sudden move for me. Within like a feel like a span of 2 months, I was there and then I was here. Um, but yeah, I think it was actually one of the best decisions of my life. It was very, very tough at the beginning because, as I said, I didn't plan on anything, so everything was sort of very sudden for me. But yeah, I moved here, and I was lucky enough that I had a couple of friends who had moved like 2 months before me. So they were able to guide me and sort of find me a place to stay and all of that. And yeah, 4 years later, here we are. I am now working, as Shabazz mentioned, in an advertising agency. It's actually the parent company of Spark Foundry is Publicis Group, and they come in the top three global advertising agencies in the world. So yeah, it's exciting. And as we go, I'm pretty sure, like as you asked me, I'm gonna share how my journey exactly went. It was not living through a pandemic and graduating in the pandemic. It wasn't exactly what we had hoped for, but I mean, here we are. So
So that's really inspiring and really exciting to hear from you, Fiza. Fiza, you were at the IBA, right? The Institute of Business Administration. Many people have that opportunity like once in a lifetime. They leave it and you left it and you came to Australia. I mean, why would you do that? I mean,
yeah.
what was going through your head when you left the IBA?
So I basically didn't apply anyway. I didn't know. I did apply to Habib University, and but the admission process was very simple. And I'm not an A grade student. I'm a very average student. I just happen to be good at math, and the test that the IBA test. Obviously, the math part. A lot of people struggle to sort of get through it. So it was lucky. I was just lucky on that part, and yeah, I got admitted into their BBA program, which is again a very, very like very in demand program that they have. But I feel like when I joined, it wasn't what I hoped for. The culture, the sort of academic standards that I thought IBA would have, considering it's one of the biggest, at like business schools in Pakistan. So that was a bit of like I was like, okay, but it was actually not my decision for me to leave IB and move to Australia. It was my mom's. She just saw that I wasn't happy, and I wasn't happy with the sort of not education, but the culture that IBA had, and I just was feeling really hard to coming from Nixer and having all those friends that had moved to different universities. it was just hard for me to sort of blend in. So she was the one who actually pitched Australia to me, and I was like, no, I mean, I'm an IB, and it's considered such a good university. Why would I leave this? Like, to her, I was like, you are crazy. But I mean, she was like, you're clearly not happy, and I know you've wanted to go to Australia ever since you were little, and this and that. So that's how that happened. And obviously, like, moving abroad is a huge financial burden as well. So coming from my parents and them, they basically sort of nudging me and saying, no, we can afford it. And if you want to go, go. So I think that became a source of motivation for me, because I was like, yeah, maybe there's something better out there. But I never think of it. I mean, I know it's an opportunity that people literally, like, they have gap years for, and I was never one to take that for granted. I just thought about myself. I thought, okay, maybe if this is not working out for me, and if there's something out there that's better for me, i'm not gonna I'm not gonna tell myself, oh, it's fine. No, you've got the best that you can get, so just settle for this. So that's never been the case for me. I sort of realized there's something better out there, and my parents were very supportive, so I just sort of took a chance. That's all.
Oh, that's really impressive, and that's really heartily of your parents that send you out there at a very young age. Many parents are very reluctant when they have to send their young kid at the young age,
Yeah.
not knowing anything about the country, how things will. So, Fiza, were you the only one who were this young at this age who stepped into the unknown and then started to work on their own?
So from my family, yeah, I'm the first one. And now that I think of it, I was actually very young. So, my dad was very reluctant, actually. He's very protective of us and of both me and my sister. I'm the middle child. So he was like, no, and obviously, like, coming from a life that's very privileged, and like, I completely acknowledge it. And we are like, I for one, I was very well taken care of. So if you look at it that way, you'd think that, oh, like, she's crazy, she's gonna be moving into a lifestyle where she has to do everything for herself. And that's how my dad was thinking. He was like, no, no, she's fine, she's here, she's close to us, and all of that. But my mom was like, no, I know she'll be fine, I know she can do it, and this and that. So again, it was like sort of their faith in me. It was really hard for my dad. He's still very emotional, but he couldn't talk to me for the first year I was here. He Every time I'd call him, it would be like a 30-second call, and then he would just hang up because he couldn't get himself to, like, get through the conversation. But of course, it's really hard. And my mom got really, like, low, but I think they were just lucky that my elder sister and my younger brother, they were there, and they were there for them. And I have a very, very supportive family as well. Like, all my khalas and we are like a very, very close family in that regard. So it's not just like us, it's them as well. So they all just sort of took care of my parents, and then I would visit every year. So I think with time it just got easier to take. But I mean, it's never easier if one of your family members is away, because
Hmm.
I was very homesick the first year I was here. I would constantly miss them. I would constantly miss all of them. So the first year I was here, I went back like twice, and then I realized, okay, like, it's a bit much. I need to, like, sort of be okay with being away from them if I'm gonna pursue this. But yeah, I mean, you get used to it, and it was just lucky in my case because I have a very supportive family.
Okay, that's heart touching, and that's really supportive of them and for you, because many people, they try to get homesick, or within the first year they tend to go back. I mean, they drop in their degrees, they drop in their jobs just because they
I
are
had those moments, though. I had those
yeah.
moments.
Yeah, I
But
could
yeah.
I felt those when you came in. It's a many people have questions when they are working on finances, right? Because in the graduation phases, you have no job, you have no proper source of income, right? Many people focus on
Yeah.
finances just to overcome the average living standards of any country they're working in. So
Hmm.
would you
Hmm.
please add some spotlight on those, and how did you manage those?
Yeah. So when I came here, again, I came all of a sudden. So I did no research. I just had a couple of friends here who were like, it's fine. Like, we're working, and you have to do odd jobs, obviously, when you're not a graduate. Um, but I feel like it's amazing. All of us, I wish Pakistan was this progressive in this way, because in Pakistan we look down on people who do these kind of jobs. Like if someone's a waitress, or if someone's working, to sustain themselves, we sort of look down on them because we are just lucky enough to have a privileged life. But no, here I feel like um, it's just everybody is just like in the hustle, and they're like, yeah, it's our bread and butter and we have to like earn, so we're gonna, like, if we have a job, we're just happy to have that job. So when I came here, I didn't work for the first semester. I was like settling in, so I brought some money from back home, and I was like, okay, it's enough to sustain me for the first semester, a couple of months. But I did, like, when that money is sort of, the bank balance sort of starts going down, and you're like, like I need to do something, like, I need to put some money in as well. So I started looking for jobs, and I would just go into cafes, I would drop my CV. But I was actually excited to do it because I was like, oh, it's like Friends, and I'm Rachel and this and that. It was a very, very, it was like I was living in a movie. I didn't realize how hard it was actually going to be. But yeah, I got my first job in hospitality. Hospitality teaches you a lot. Customer service teaches you a lot. It makes you a better person. It makes you realize the hard work that people are putting in the service industry. So I started off as a waitress, and the first few shifts, I was like, no, like how can he ask me to do this? Like, because I was up there, right? I was like, no, we can't do this because this is demeaning. And then I realized, I looked around me, it was just like all the kids my age, even like older than me, and I was like, they're not restricting themselves. They don't think this way. They're like, okay, we've come into a job, we've clocked in, we have to do this, we have to earn the money, and we just, we leave. So I've made really good friends working there. I still like sometimes go, and I just supervise there once a week because it's so much fun. And I realized actually that this is the real life, and out of your bubble and out of your shelter. So yeah, I just started working. I worked there up until the pandemic hit, and yeah, it was great. I then I became a barista. I fell in love with coffee. I used to do coffee art and all of that. So it was actually really nice. And meanwhile, I was studying as well. Um, and then this is just what I did. There's people who do security, there's people who do all sorts of jobs. They're very flexible. Especially in Australia, students have a lot of opportunities and they have a lot of options to choose from. They can literally work two jobs as well, as long as they're able to manage everything together. I never did that. Briefly, I've done that, but like I never did that for the long run. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty nice. And then I feel like working is very important because you get to meet the people. If you're not working, if you're just meeting people at your uni, it's fine, you can make friends, but you actually, when you get out and you start working, is when you interact with people. And all the friends that I have here actually came from that job, most of them. So obviously, like, I'm very glad that I did that. It made me definitely realize the importance of money. It taught me how to handle my finances. um, I knew that the amount of money I was going to get weekly in my account, so I knew I had to take out rent, I knew I had to take out bills, so I would subtract it from that money, and then I would see, okay, I have this much to spend. Even out of that much, how much can I afford to spend? How much do I have to leave in my account for until the next pay comes? So all of these things you learn as you go, but definitely, like, it's a start.
True. I mean, just because Pakistanis believe that we are privileged, we feel kind of low when we work on such odd jobs. I mean, we're like, "Hey, we don't want to do this job. We're not okay with it. I mean, how are we going to get out of the bed? Start going to the restaurant, wash someone else's dishes, or be a security
Yeah,
guard at the restaurant.
absolutely.
This is what things go.
Absolutely.
But if you look at from the other point of view, from the other perspective, I mean, you're doing a good job. I mean, you're doing nothing wrong. I mean, you're not looting anybody, you're not robbing any store or anything, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
But over in Pakistan, people are discriminating over each other. I mean, what kind of job is this, or uh,
Yeah.
what kind of behavior they're going to this. So that's really well.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like that was the thing that sort of made me, um, sort of helped me ease into this transition. The people are very nice. They're very nice to you. The customers, so the customers are more respectable than we are to them, because they know that you're providing them with a service. They know that they don't own the restaurant, or they don't own you just because you're serving them. And they're most of the time, like 90% of the time, they're very respectful. You obviously get those customers, and they're everywhere in the world. It's not just Australia. So yeah, that's what made it so easy. I used to interact with people. They would always they would be complimenting me. They'd be asking me questions. They'd be like, "Oh, you're so young. Where did you move from?" So all of that actually helped. That made me want to go into work, because I would be like, "Oh, I'm going to make friends, and I'm going to meet new people, and the people I'm serving are nice." So it was stuff like that. Definitely good culture.
This is a cultural shock that when you move from one part of this world to another part of it, this happens. Because
Yeah.
could you just tell us about how is the hourly rate of salaries come in? How do
Hmm.
you manage to have what's the minimum requirement you are supposed to have in your bank account, to sustain an
Hmm.
average life, and how much did you manage to save in your first year of your job, the odd job that you were doing
Hmm.
before you graduated?
Yeah. So there's all sorts of different jobs that give you different hourly pay rate, but and there's also always cash as well. A lot of students, prefer to work on cash. I never did that. I always wanted to work a job that was where I was a taxpayer, because I knew that every year I can claim some of that tax. So it's like that's kind of your savings, right? I'm getting taxed, and I know mid-year I'm gonna get like 90% of that back. So that's savings for me. And it's savings that I didn't even have to do anything for. It was just cut from my pay. So if you're doing like a TFN job, I feel like the minimum, like for our age, if you're moving at the age of 19 or so, I think the minimum pay rate you're gonna get is $15 or $16, which is also like I'm saying minimum. Um, Most places, if you do a TFN job, they're gonna offer you like a $20 per hour, and that's weekdays. And then on weekends, they offer you $25 or $30, depending on which day you're working, if it's a Saturday or a Sunday. And then for a student, like on my visa, I had 20 hours allowance weekly. So that means I can work 20 hours every week, and so that's like 80 hours in a month. And I was working at like on weekdays I used to work $18-19 per hour, and then on weekends it was $20 or $25 per hour. This is when I started, when I was 19. As you get older, as your age bracket increases, your pay also increases, your hourly pay rate also increases. Like currently, if I go and I work somewhere the same job at the age of 23, they're going to offer me $20 or $21 in the weekdays, and then 25 and 30 on the weekends. So I never overworked. I used to always do 20-25 hours. You can go over your hours as long as it's not affecting your studies. So technically you shouldn't go over 20 hours, but I did. And my manager, and when I had the off periods, when I had holidays from uni, I would do 30 hours as well, 35 hours as well. But my manager was very, very smart about it. He was like, as long as you're good at school, as long as there's nothing coming from there, and there's no notifications going to the immigration that, okay, this student is not showing up, this student is failing his units or her units, you're fine, but just don't do it consistently. So there's that as well. And I would say roughly about, I was sharing a house with a couple of other people initially, like the first 2 years I lived here. And I think I paid about $450-$500 per month for rent. And that was on sharing. So I was sharing with other people. But I would say if you were looking to get a nice apartment or a nice house and you were sharing with someone, you should keep $500 like in your mind. That's the average. If you're obviously, let's say you get an apartment with your friend, it's a 2-bed apartment and it's a nice space and all of that, you could end up paying up to $800-$850. That's your choice. I never did that. I always went on sharing. So but I thought that $500 for rent per month is not bad, is what I thought. And then add your bills to that and your groceries to that. I would say in a month for a student, you're spending about like $800-$900 if you're paying 500 per month for rent. You can easily earn that doing odd jobs. You get a good, like Australia is good. The odd jobs pay well. Even if you're working 25 hours, 20 hours per week, you'll be good to go. You'll have your rent sorted out, you'll have your bills sorted out, you'll have the money you want to spend on yourself sorted out, and then some to leave in your bank account as well. I didn't really save up. The first year I worked, I was a very foolish spender. So I'd be like, oh, this is the first time I'm earning. I would go to H&M and I'd buy like clothes for myself. So I realized that with time, and which is fine, which is absolutely fine. You're a student. Some of the students are very responsible, because a lot of times, a lot of kids that are coming here to study, they know they have to pitch in their fee into their fee as well. They're helping their parents. I had friends who were living here, who were taking out their costs, and they were also trying to pitch into their like semester-wise fee. I never had that pressure. Like, thank God I was lucky, but it's hard. It's hard if you were having to put money in your fee as well, because it's sort of, because you're then working all the time and you know you can only spend like this much on yourself. So it's a bit hard, but I mean, it's different for each family and for every student's conditions, but it's doable. It's not that, oh, it's impossible, I can't do it. There are a lot of opportunities here. You can earn about, if you're not working like me, and if your priorities lie in making money, you can work 40, 50 hours as well. I've seen people do that. They have earned a lot in a week, like over $800 in a week. And that's fine. I mean, that's how they wanted to do it. But I always prioritized my studies, and I never wanted anything to sort of like make me fall back on my studies. So I just always prioritize that. But yeah, there's always that as well. So yeah, I mean, but I would say on average, you should keep $500 plus bills and groceries and stuff per month.
Okay, this is what many people do. They don't prioritize their studies over their jobs. They're more centric towards their jobs. I mean, they're like, they have to earn more money and send it back to the country so that they are
Yeah,
able to manage those finances as well. And that's
yeah.
really smart of you. I mean, especially for the people who prioritize their study as compared to their work roles or work jobs. So
Yeah,
Fiza,
because I knew that's why I'm here for. So I definitely did that.
exactly. I mean, you might have achieved those goals as well. I mean, the money that you invested in, now that the time is here, that you have recovered those
Yeah,
amounts, right? You
yeah,
did. I mean, the job that you are currently working at now, I mean, it's
yeah.
almost double the salary that you were being offered
Hmm.
as a waitress or as any other, as
Yeah,
a security guy or a Uber driver or kind of
yeah.
stuff. So what are your takes on the job opportunity or the employment rates or the salaries that are being paid to the employees?
So I would say I can obviously only talk about my industry. I don't know about any other industry. For marketing, so I'm a double major. I did marketing and finance because finance was something I've been studying since the beginning. That's what I did in my O levels as well. So finance was like a safety net. Marketing was a leap of faith for me. I took it because I had a very wonderful teacher in my A levels, and she sort of guided me, and she thought that I'd be good in marketing. So I decided to go for a double major. And then when I started studying, I realized that I actually enjoyed marketing. It was actually something that I sort of saw myself doing. So in the marketing industry, the job, like the employment rate is good as of now. Especially after the pandemic, there's a lot of job openings. There's a lot of the employment rate has gone up. Um, Once you graduate, recruiters do. If you have a good profile, I would say definitely if you're a second or third year student, start working on your LinkedIn. So that by the time you graduate and by the time you're looking for internships, because LinkedIn is now the Facebook for all the employers. That's where they go to stalk you. That's where they go to see your experience. They might see your CV, but they're gonna see, okay, if is what your presence is on LinkedIn. So I realized that much later, but then I started working on my LinkedIn as well. And then recruiters actually started contacting me. So they were like, okay, they went and they saw this person is a graduate. We can, and we've seen her experience, so we can actually go and ask her if she's, up for this job opportunity that we have. So marketing entry levels role are a bit less paying, to be very honest, but there's a lot of growth. So I might start at a digital marketing coordinator role right now, right after graduating. But I know that within the next 6 months or 1 year, I have a lot of growth, potential for growth. So that's one thing that's definitely present here. I've seen that, I've spoken to people, and I've seen that happen. Um, It honestly depends on you. A lot of people here, the culture is to just like work odd jobs and make a lot of money. Not for us. I'm talking for locals here. They are good. They're making, a lot of them are making actually more money than people in corporate jobs are making. So for them, they're like, it's all about the money. Like if they're making enough doing making coffees, why would we go and get a corporate job? But that's not where our priorities lie. We're here for a reason. We want to make our parents proud. We want to land good jobs and all of that.
True.
So yeah, obviously, like the kind of jobs that I was also looking at, I knew that they're gonna pay well, but I knew that they're not gonna pay exceptionally well. That I feel like I'm sorted. I know I have to be very. I have to keep my finances in control in the first year or so, which is what I'm doing. I mean, I've just started out, but definitely you can definitely start at like you can look at yourself 50,000 like for a 50,000 package annually or above, depending on what sort of experience you have, depending on what sort of role you're getting offered. And then your superannuation, your taxes, all of that is there. Tax rate is a bit high, to be very honest. I recently just found out and it broke my heart. I got my first paycheck and I was like, wait a second. I was like, they cut 90% in taxes. But I mean, again, you get some of it, like almost half of it back. So, but yeah, I feel like, yeah.
So what's the time
Yeah.
that you get back your paycheck? I mean, the savings that you have already invested.
In Australia, it's mid-year. So you can start filing your tax return in July. And then I think it's, what is it called? Like it's processed and it's done by July, August. Yeah. So it's always mid-year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Fiza, I think we're short on time. I'm going to send you another link if the link it's broken. If it expires,
Yeah.
the same link, you have to join it again and I'll be here. Okay. So Fiza, one more thing. I mean, what's the average salary that you are getting at the company that you're working at? I mean, as compared to the ones that you were working as an odd job.
So like doing odd jobs, if you're working a lot, I mean, if you're working, I would say full time per week, obviously you're going to be looking at comparatively, you'll make more than an entry level digital marketer. But again, that depends on the kind of job you're doing. For my industry, if you're doing an entry level role, again, as I said, the average starting package is 50,000 annually. That includes your superannuation and everything, but I'm saying the lower side. So it starts from 50,000. You can get 56, 58, 60,000 as well. And when I was working as a student, and I know I didn't work a lot. I know that there were a lot of my friends who were working, I feel like twice as much as I did, but I was getting somewhere around 46,000 per year, like annually. But then obviously that's including all my taxes and everything. So like initially when you're starting out, it's always good to do your job, and then maybe if you're not studying, you can keep an odd job and maybe do like a couple of shifts there as well. But it's for people who want, like they're like, no, I need more money. If you're able to manage within the salary you're being offered, it's good for you as well. So yeah,
this is what Pakistani mentality really is, that they want to work for money, they want to create more money, either being what kind of job they're doing. I mean,
yeah,
this is what they thought of, right? Because at the end of the day, they have to make more dough, they have to make more money and send it back to their home country. This is what technically they are taught about. So Fiza, just put a little light upon that. How are the societies in Australia? I mean, in compared to any industry as compared to Pakistan. I mean, obviously, Australia is far growing economy as compared to Pakistan. Did you think Pakistanis are still being, mocked upon any kind of, just because from their lower society or any kind of?
So my experience has been, again, I mean, I've been extremely lucky, because before moving to Australia, I had heard that no, like, there's racism and they're very, what is it called? Like unaccepting, to us and this and that. And I was a bit nervous, but I was like,
Yeah.
Okay, so we got cut off, but so when I moved here, I actually did not experience any of that. Luckily, I met very helpful, very wonderful people. I was actually a bit of like I was a bit of a brat when I moved here. So later on, my friends would be like, they told me, they're like, when you came here and when you started working, we would actually like say, oh my God, like we need to like teach her that you can't say that to customers, or you can't make that face. So I mean, that was very wonderful of them to not make it obvious when I was like initially starting out. Um, I have experienced that like the communities and the people here, even when I was traveling to countryside, which they say that countryside, like Australians are a bit less accepting, I would just put it that way. I actually spoke to them, and every single like person, especially like the older people we spoke to, not just me but my friends as well, they were extremely nice. They would ask us questions, and they would actually want to know, oh, like when we would tell them we're from Pakistan, it was actually a very positive response that I got from them. And some of them who actually had their reservations, they would be very honest about it. So they'd be like, okay, so like, we want to visit there, but we're just a bit nervous because we've heard about the security concerns and this and that. Like they would have an honest chat about it. They would never shy away, and they would never be like, oh, this person's from Pakistan, so we would just remove ourselves. Even like the company that I'm working in right now, it's a very, very inclusive culture. Sorry, excuse me. And one of my founders is also based in Melbourne, so he comes to the office as well. And he's in his 60s, I think. So he was speaking to me, and he's like, oh, you're the first person from Pakistan that we've hired, so like tell me about it, and how is it there, and this and that. And then we actually sitting there and having a chat about it, like, and I know he's a busy person, so people actually want to learn. And especially like up until like I feel like a couple of years ago, during the pandemic only, when I went somewhere to get my laptop fixed or something, and literally like every person I used to tell at that time frame about Pakistan, they would be like, oh yeah, we know Imran Khan, because Australians really follow cricket, and they have seen, especially the older people, they know Imran Khan, they have watched him play. They know that he was the prime minister at that time of our country. So they were actually like we would like indulge in this conversation, and we would be talking about, yeah, like cricket and this and that. So like Pakistan is actually very well, like known and recognized in Australia. um there is a bit of, there is that lot that is a bit less accepting, but that's everywhere in the world. Even back home in Pakistan, we are also we think it's funny, but a lot of times we're being racist to other like cultures and other people. So I was just fortunate enough to not come across any of that, but I have heard stories. I have seen some customers who would give these eyes to like maybe like Indian people or like black like communities and stuff. But it's not as bad as one person might think, that, oh, if I move to Australia, yeah, I mean, definitely it helps if you are well spoken, if you can converse with an Australian in like in English or something, because they get a bit agitated if they're speaking to someone, and they're like, okay, but like you can't speak properly, and I'm not understanding what you're saying. So over there, that's a bit of a problem that I have seen. But other than that, no, I think they're very accepting. They're very, very friendly. They're very welcoming. And generally, yeah, I feel like I have realized in this time that I've lived here that I could actually see myself living here potentially. It's a very nice culture.
Okay, so that's really awesome when you're sharing your insights, your entire experience with us, with our audience. I mean, we technically are catering only the New Zealand Australian economy because this is where
Yeah.
we reside in our company works
Hmm.
in New Zealand. So, Fiza, this was really awesome session. Anything? I mean, what's your favorite quote? That has always been with you. I mean, either way, you have never let that go away.
My favorite quote.
Yep.
I don't think I have one. But
Anything. I mean,
I
any
honestly,
story,
it's not a
anything.
quote. Yeah, it's not a quote. I don't know how you would categorize it. I just believe in manifestation. Like I don't like I would just how I would put it is when I was very young, when I saw a picture of Pearl, sorry, how am I saying the Sydney Harbor, and I was like, the Opera House and the like the bridge, and I was like, I want to go there one day. I was very young, and I think it was somewhere in school that we were reading about it, and I was like, I want to move here and I want to live in Australia and this and that. And it was just like a kid saying some, like, some stuff. But I truly believe in manifestation. I believe that I manifested that in my life apart from many other things, if I ever want something, I like to write it down. I don't like making lists on my phone, as digital as we may get. I always have a notebook with me. Always. I have like a little notebook. I write my stuff down there, and I feel like when you write things down, you manifest them, and like the literally like it's a bit cringy, but the universe will like help you achieve it, and it happens. I wrote down when I came back in January. I was in Pakistan for almost a year and a half, just in the pandemic, because I was like, it was getting very expensive to stay here during the pandemic. So I came back to Pakistan, and I was like, you know what, I'm good. I'm gonna be working here until this like the pandemic is over. So I came back after a year and a half, and I was like, I didn't. It was like a completely like back to square one, and I was so overwhelmed by everything. But I just took out my notebook and I started writing things down. Okay, in the next 2-3 months, I need to get this done, this done, this done, and I actually did, and these things happened to me. So I definitely believe that if you put your mind to something and obviously you work hard, it will most probably like happen for you, unless like God has planned something better. So manifestation is something I've always believed in, and it's always helped me in life.
That's sweet and that's so courageous of you. Okay, so Fiza, I think those were the most hot questions that I got before we started this session. Anything else that you'd like to talk about? Anything else that you'd like to share from your experience, from anything that you want to add that you have did not add? So
No, I would just say to all the students who are looking to move to Australia or to anywhere else, there's a big community here who's here to help you out. Don't get scared. Don't shy away that I'm gonna be alone. There's a huge Pakistani community here as well, like Pakistani students and everyone, and they're always helping the new comers. So if you personally want help from me, you can find me on LinkedIn, message me, and I will try to help you out as much as I can. But yeah, definitely great experience. If your family can afford to send you, if you feel like you can work hard enough to sustain yourself here and give yourself a better life, Australia is actually a very, very nice place to move, and a very supportive community, both local and the Pakistani like community that there is. And yeah, just get up, be courageous, and do it, I would say.
mhm. That's so sweet. Fiza, could you drop in your LinkedIn or your Instagram handle so that people could reach out to you if they want to?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Shouldn't be a problem.
Great. Okay, so guys, this was Fiza Fancy. She's from Australia once again. Thank you so much, Fiza, for coming out on the show and sharing every
Thank you.
knowledge, every expertise that you had, that you gained, the experience that you gained in Australia in the last 4.5 years. So this was really an honor to have you, Fiza.
Thank you so much. It was great being here.
Exactly, likewise. So, and we're about to go up. Thank you, Fiza. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.